when you're dreaming from a mill town.
I feel like I'm in a job interview right now.
Yeah.
You're about to be like, so what qualifies you for this job? To be a rapper.
What makes you a rapper?
What makes you a rapper? What are some of the negative qualities that you have that you bring to the table sometimes? If you could think of like one thing you could work on, what would that be? Like, that's how they always are. I've been to a lot of job interviews.
So, what's your name?
Traxx.
And where did the name Traxx come from?
It's been a nickname for a minute. My boy in middle school, Julian Beasley, gave it to me. I was in like 7th grade, I think, and I had been rapping with my boys and shit for a while, and he was like, "You ever record any tracks?" And I was like, "Nah." And he was like, "Man, you would sound nice on Traxx. I'm gonna call you J Traxx." After a while, people just started calling me Traxx, and it just stuck. Once I hit high school, everyone had forgotten my real name.
And where are you from?
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
What part?
I grew up in Allentown. It's a smaller neighborhood. It's next to Beltsuver and Mount Washington. But I lived all over the south side of Pittsburgh. I lived in Mount Oliver, St. Clair Village, Carrick, Knoxville. But my grandma had a house in Allentown, and so I'd always end up living with my grandma at her house on McLean Street. So that's where all my friends were. It's where I hung out.
What was it like growing up for you?
The area is dope, man. Allentown's kind of like in the center of Pittsburgh, so it's easy to get to, like, from anywhere. If you got a homie that drives, it's right off 51. It's right through the tunnels. If you are a kid like who can't drive yet, you can ride your bike down south side, down to the flats, take the incline. Fucking, you can get to Mount Oliver real fast, and there was always like dope clothing shops and shit up there. So, I mean, it was dope. It was a dope place to live. It was pretty like diverse. I mean, Pittsburgh's a pretty divided city as far as like, you know, when it comes to like economic standpoints and race and shit. But on our side, it really wasn't like that. I mean, there were people who lived right down the street who were broke as fuck, people who lived right down the street who were rich as fuck because Mount Washington was right there, and a lot of just different, you know, different kind of culture mixing going on. So, I mean, usually you gotta go to the East End for that kind of shit, but Allentown had it because we were in the mix in the middle of everything. More personally, growing up, I don't want to say growing up was rough. I had a lot of fun as a kid. My childhood wasn't necessarily sad by any means, but I had a lot of fucking trials and tribulations and all that fun shit. So it was cool. I mean, wasn't too bad. I don't have too many sob stories.
What type of things were you into growing up?
When I was real young, man, it was really just sports. Football was like the biggest thing. I played that, and I hooped, but I never hooped like for like my school squad or anything. But I lived across the street from a basketball court in Grandview Park, and so I always would be over there hooping and shit, and really just that. And then as I got older, I got into graffiti and writing, and from there hip hop kind of took over, and that's been like, you know, my shit since I was like a preteen.
Did you only listen to rap growing up, or were there other types of music you listened to?
No, hell no. I listened to a lot of shit. Well, my mom listened to a lot of R&B, so I listened to a lot of like older R&B, and my stepdad listened to a lot of jazz, a lot of soul music, a lot of soul music, Sam Cooke, Al Green, you know, and then I was always attracted to the blues for whatever reason. So like Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, I'd be into shit like that. Hip hop was always, you know, rap was always the first thing I wanted to listen to. It was my generation shit. But yeah, I was always listening to that. And then my dad listened to classic rock and metal and stuff, which I really didn't get into until I got older. But I definitely listened to all kinds of stuff. Oldies, classical, shit like that.
What rappers did you listen to the most growing up?
When I was young, I listened to the shit that was on the radio, man. Like Nelly, fucking, for real, Country Grammar.
That was my first album.
Yeah. Eminem was huge when I was, you know, like 10, 11 years old. 50 Cent, Memphis Bleak, fucking T.I., all that shit, all that. And then when I got older, I started like into like my mid-teens, late teens, I got into a lot more like lyrical shit. And then just, you know, I started really listening to older hip hop music too around that time, like Big L and fucking Pun and Biggie and DOS Effects and shit like that, Bone Thugs. So that was the kind of shit I was on.
When did you first start rapping and why?
The first rhyme I ever wrote, I actually remember writing it. I was 11 years old, and I listened to Bone Thugs. Like I said, that's when I, you know, like that pre-teen into teenager, I started listening to other hip hop, older hip hop. And I wanted to rap like Busy Bone. Like that was just, I loved how that dude sounded, like and Crazy Bone. And I was like, I wonder if I could fucking sound like these dudes. And they had a song out that I used to watch on the computer all the time called Change the World, with this wild ass video. And I figured, I was like, I'm gonna try to write a rhyme and see if I'll sound like them. And I wrote it and I spit it to my best friend, and it was so fucking terrible. He just clowned the fuck out of me, and he was like, don't ever do that again. But you know what I mean, like any friend would, just hating just to hate. But then, like, you know, a couple weeks go by and I'm like writing more rhymes and shit, and he'd be like, you know, yo, you're getting good at this shit. Like you can actually, like, my vocabulary was large for someone my age, and I just kept going from there.
And when did you start taking it seriously?
I had a time frame right around like 17, 18 where I got serious with it for a good year. And then I had a lot of like personal shit happen, and that's always everyone's excuse, like fucking personal shit. Everyone has personal shit. But I had some pretty fucked up traumatic shit happen in my life. And I had to fucking basically put everything on hold, which is why I never went to college, why I never pushed forward with the rap and shit. So I'd say when I turned like 21, 22 is whenever I got like real serious with it. And that's when Bilderburgh started to form, and we just kind of pushed from there.
So you just said you're part of the group Bilderburgh.
Yeah.
And where did you guys all first meet, and how'd that group come together?
We all know each other from various ways. The first person I met in Bilderburgh was Blender. I met him in 2007 at a show called Party in the Park. Actually, it was one of Wiz Khalifa's last free shows that he ever did. It was right around the time like Damn Thing had been out for a little bit, and his buzz was just starting to really crack. And I was cool with Joe Boots and Drastic and the whole Priceless Recordings fam, Chubbs and JBG. And they brought me out to Party in the Park, and I was like 15 maybe at the time, 16. And fucking, I went out there, and Blender was on stage, and he killed it. And I remember he got off stage, and he was on stage by himself. His like hype man blew him off, and fucking, you could tell he was like visibly ill, like he was sick, you know. I remember I got off stage, splat him up, and I was like, yo, like, you got up there, and he had it hyper than anyone else had, honestly, probably the whole show. And he was up there with no hype man, sick as fuck. So I linked with him, and then not long after that, I was dating a girl in high school, and her best friend was dating Crumb. So we ended up partying together all the time and chilling, and me and Crumb became like best friends. And he went to school with Raspy and Rambo, and so met them through him.
So who's everyone in the group? 5
rappers. Myself, Crumb, Raspy, Rambo, and Blender.
Why'd you guys decide to call yourselves Bilderburgh?
Basically, Bilderberg, if you know anything about like the real like Bilderberg Group, it's not some wild, crazy Illuminati shit. They admit that they exist. They have a fucking website.
What is the Bilderberg Group?
Bilderberg Group's a meeting that occurs about every 4 years of like world elitists. When I say elitists, I mean people who, like the Queen of Spain goes, the guys who founded Google went, Donald Rumsfeld is gone, Colin Powell. It's happened every 4 years since the end of World War II, every 4 to 5 years. And the first place they ever met was the Bilderberg Hotel in Germany, which is where they got the name Bilderberg meetings from. And the thing is, they don't tell the press what the details of what they're discussing. They only give you key points, so that, you know, they could say anything: world peace, world hunger, whatever the fuck they want to. The conspiracy is that they're discussing basically how to control things in the world and the economic stability of the world and all the money basically. But anyway, these people that meet at this meeting every 4 years are basically the richest, most powerful people in the fucking world, and they are elitists. So we considered ourselves to be elite MCs. I mean, we always, I always prided myself on, you know, my lyricism, just being the best at what I do and trying to be, you know, better than everyone else. I think every MC should feel that way. You should feel like you're the best and that you're better than everyone fucking else. Not even on some egomaniac shit, just wanting to be the best. And so taking that they're running the fucking world, we wanted to run our world. So we took their name, and we're from Pittsburgh, so we spelled it with the B-U-R-G-H. You know what I mean? And plus, these people take everything from common everyday people, so for us to take something, being common everyday people, and taking something from them and making it our own was kind of like a fuck you to the system.
Since you guys have like 5 people in the group, but you guys all are on the same album, how do you guys choose who's on what songs and who does a verse on what songs and all that?
We go through beats. Like we'll get beat folders from different producers. We usually fuck with, you know, like only a couple main producers. But we'll go through all the files, and we'll have a list of beats that we want to fuck with, and then everyone will, you know, say, well, I want to get on this song, I want to get on this song. And then we'll write songs, and whatever songs we end up voting on. The good thing is there's 5 of us, so there's never going to be, you know, there's always a decision breaker.
So you're saying you guys plan before recording the album which beats are going to be on the album?
Yeah, and it doesn't always happen that way. Like, I mean, if there's a fucking crazy beat that comes along that we're just like, yo, this has to go on the album, it's gonna go there. But yeah, for the most part, we plan everything out.
Even the order of them, or no?
No, the track list is usually one of the last things we get done. It's mad scrambled, but it's really just, that's kind of just based on, you know, like feel of the, you know, how you want the album to sound as a whole and play through from start to finish. I mean, there's times when all 5 rappers want to be on the same song, and you know, motherfuckers just got to take one for the team and sacrifice. Being in a group teaches you a lot about that, man. Your ego in that aspect has to be set to the side for the better of the group and the whole team.
Which artist in Bilderburgh do you feel like you sound the best with on a track?
It would depend on the track. If I had to pick the 2 that I've worked with the most and the 2 that I've probably clicked the most with musically would be either Raspy or Crumb. I think that if I had to pick like who I'd want to be like in a duo with the most, to actually like sit down and create an entire album with, it'd probably be Raspy, because we have a lot of the same interests as far as just music outside of hip-hop, music in general. Like, we kind of go about writing and shit the same way. We talk about a lot of the same shit, and we have a similar approach, and our voices kind of, you know, match well together. And so but I mean, I've done an album with Crumb. I did a whole album with Crumb, yeah. Government funded. That was when he and I were Dope Means, and it was dope. And it's dope working with Crumb because Crumb's completely different. He's a different kind of rapper. He's not a speed rapper, but he raps fast. He raps like, you know, like probably double time is his regular time, and I'm not like that at all. And I'm more focused on metaphors and punchlines, whereas he is too, but he is more into like you know, his multis and shit really hit. So I mean, it depends on, like I said, if I was working on a song that was gonna be more like some shit that you just want to feel out and vibe to, I'd want to do it with Raspy. If I wanted to do some shit that was like technical, fucking lyrical, I'd want to do it with Crumb. You know what I mean?
Who do you think's the hardest of the group?
Me, motherfucker, what you mean? I'm the hardest in the group.
What role do you feel like you play in the group?
We all play a fucking similar roles, man. Really, when it comes to leadership, you know, people step up when they need to step up. If you see something that needs done, it's just like any other kind of team or job. You know what I mean? Like, if you might play a position in football where, you know, maybe you're on that play, you're supposed to be covering someone, but they fell, so now you're blocking. You know what I mean? Or you already got that guy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you got to step up to the position at hand, and the problem at hand. So, I feel like, as far as the role, we're like a well-oiled fucking machine. We just, I mean, when it's time for a contact to reach out, they can reach out to any one of us and we would know what to do and know what to move. We all vote on things, and, you know, anything that, any major decision that we make is always given the okay by everyone. If someone has a problem, you know, they're always given a chance to voice their concerns. But, yeah, I mean, as far as, like, if you wanted to get technical, a lot of shit that I do is just more like organizational, just, you know, trying to piece this person with that person and keep communication up and shit like that. You know, Crumb plays a lot of management roles. Like, he does a lot of, like, working with the promoters and, you know, reaching out to producers and other artists. Blender does a lot of organizational shit too, a lot of shit in studio, like, you know, and just, he's the oldest one in the group, and I mean, he has a lot of, like, guidance as far as that. I mean, he's got 6 years on me, so obviously I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. He's been around this earth longer, so you know, everyone plays their position.
What do you think separates Bilderburgh from all the other groups in the city?
Nobody else is making music like us. Nobody, and I don't mean that in, like, some cocky dickhead kind of way. I mean, nobody else is making the kind of music that we make. You know, you have a lot of dope groups in Pittsburgh, man. You have a lot of people who are making real hard street shit, trap shit, more like social awareness, fucking all that. But nobody's really coming from the lane that we're coming from, because we represent the underground, and we don't really want any kind of mainstream appeal. We don't care for it. So, you know, for us, it's just, we see the people who we have idolized and in our genre of hip hop and where we want to be, and I don't think that anybody really is just on that same tip. That, like, there's people who are similar, who are hard, but I just don't feel like they would fit in the same genre as us. So that's what kind of makes us out of the box a little.
How would you describe your sound?
I would just say, like, you know, like hardcore, lyrical, boom bap, fucking, just raw shit, man, with a message, though, you know what I mean, with an overall tone and message, and you know, just bringing that working class, poor kid fucking mentality, but leaving out the shit that everyone else talks about. Everyone else talks about how they sell so many drugs, or they're so hard, or they're such a gangster, and you know, it's kind of like we try to find a way to convey that, being from that lifestyle, without having to glorify those negative aspects of that lifestyle. Like, you know, we all fucking got a job. Well, I don't got a job right now, but we all got, yeah, I mean, usually I have a job. Fucking, we all work regular jobs and shit, though, man. And but I don't think, you know, it's just like anything else. Like, of course, if a move comes along that you can make to fucking make some money or do something, you're gonna do it. But I think that's the mentality of any person who's grown up without, you know. So and even kids who grew up with a lot of money, I mean, why wouldn't you go for some easy cash? But I think that people glorify that shit a lot too much, and they think it, like, validates them somehow or makes them cool, and it really fucking doesn't. And that's why I just choose really not to brag about it. But I mean, there's lines in songs where you'll hear us say shit about shit that we've done or do that, you know, is definitely leaning towards that, but we try to stay away from it as much as possible.
So who are some artists from Pittsburgh outside of Bilderburgh that you've collaborated with?
Charlie Slum, Greenhouse Hooligans, which is Charlie Slum, Bones, and Vegas Nerve. Vegas Nerve's just a producer. Bones is a rapper and a producer, and Charlie Slum is a rapper. I work with them a lot. I have a duo project coming out with a kid named Slick, who grew up in the same neighborhood as me, called Permanis and Potholes, dropping June 8th. Before Bilderburgh, I was in a group called Padded Cell People, which is it's kind of weird. It was me, Blender, and Crumb, and someone named Drastic, who I mentioned before. And so, I mean, basically, Padded Cell People is now Bilderburgh minus Drastic plus Raspy and Rambo. We worked with different artists back then. Basic Sickness. There's been so many people, man. A lot of people. A lot of different.
Are there any that you haven't worked with yet that you want to work with?
Definitely, yeah. Joel Kellum. I think he's dope. I think that B White's definitely dope. I'd like to work with him. Mees is fucking pretty tight. I'd like to fuck with him. Yeah, there's definitely a couple people.
What producers do you work with?
Locally?
Yeah.
JBG and Chubb.
And
Internationally. JBG and Chubb are definitely like, you know, those are big homies to me. They're from my side of town and definitely fuck with them the most. We got a guy in France, in Lyon. His name is Ammo Box. He definitely breaks us off with fucking crazy fire all the time. I mentioned Vegas Nerve and Bones. I haven't worked with Premise yet, but I intend to. His shit is dope as fuck. Mike Hitt from MCM. I have unreleased material with him that I've recorded to his production. So there's a lot of dope people.
And where do you record it?
At MCM Studios, Mike Hitt's spot.
And what's the environment like recording there?
The best environment, a studio. It's literally how a studio should be. It's small, but it's not too small. It's chill. It's quaint. You can do whatever you need to do. There's no pressure. You can go in there and have everything that you want to get done, planned and ready to go and record. And he'll step up and run right through it. Or you can come in with a bottle and nothing and just be like, hey, let's pull out the keyboard, let's create, let's get down and make a beat and fucking write. And so it's the most laid back environment and honestly the best studio environment I've ever been in. So that's why I go there. I've said 1,000 times, I don't care how much this shit takes off, I'll always record with Hitt at MCMs.
You guys have been working with M80 from Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
As a manager, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So what's that been like? What type of opportunities has he presented you guys with?
A lot, man. Shout out to M80. He's the man. He gets shit done. He's basically worked with a lot of so many people. I mean, it's like a plethora of just different artists from Cannabis to Redman, Method Man, Wu-Tang. I mean, he's a Wu-Tang affiliate. Crooked Eye. I mean, basically, M80's kind of was like, that was who we really needed to get to that step where we could actually make some real industry contacts. And yeah, he definitely helped us along the way. And he's still helping us.
What are some of the big features he's gotten, guys?
Cannabis, Crooked Eye, Ras Kass, which was fucking real dope for me. Ras Kass is a West Coast fucking legend. As far as production too, he linked us with C-Lance. So that was dope as fuck because we've always listened to C-Lance and Verbal from Toledo. So M80's actually originally from Toledo. And this dude Verbal made a lot of beats for Anno Domini Beats on SoundClick. And back in the day, SoundClick was like the shit where everyone went to fucking get beats and shit. And we would always bump Verbal's beats, and so when M80 was like, yo, like he knew him personally and could make that connection happen, we kind of, you know, that was dope for us too, to work with someone who isn't necessarily like super famous, but just someone that we always listen to and always like fucking love their shit. That was dope.
Talk about getting the Crooked Eye feature and getting him in the video.
Pretty surreal. Because I've been a fan of Slaughterhouse since its inception. And before Slaughterhouse, I wasn't as familiar with Crooked Eye. I knew who Joe Budden was. I'd seen Joel Ortiz. I knew who Royce the 5'9" was. Once I saw that group, I dug back into like, you know, their shit before the group. And obviously, you know, how deep fucking back Crooked Eye's history in hip hop goes. I mean, this dude, you know, he was fucking with Suge Knight and Tupac. I mean, he's from LA, you know what I mean? So it's like he has such an extensive history and has been around so much that you know, he's just, you know, you just want to listen to what he has to say about anything regarding life or hip hop, because he's seen so much shit, and he's an older dude who just, you know, he's been around, and working with him was pretty crazy. I mean, it's pretty funny. One story that is pretty recent that I could tell you is like he started a conversation with, well, last week I was in Eminem's kitchen, and just said it so casually, like, oh yeah, last week I was in Eminem's kitchen. We're all sitting like what the fuck? Like, we're talking about Eminem, like one of, if not the greatest rapper of all time. He's talking about him like he's just his homeboy. You know what I'm saying? So we're like, when you're around someone who rubs shoulders and is friends with people on such an elite level, to be, you know, rubbing shoulders and, you know, having them shout you out on stage and fuck with your music is it's definitely a good look, and it feels real good and lets you know that you're doing something right.
Talk about going to Indianapolis and going in the studio with him and doing the video and everything.
Well, I'd been to Indy before. Crumb and I, when we did Government Funded, we went to Indianapolis to record that. And so it was my second time in that city. It's a dope city. It was just a fun time, man. We were there for, I was only there for 3 days with Rambo. Then we drove back. Crumb, Blender, and Raspy stayed for a few more days. But yeah, we linked up with Crooked on tour. Went to Bongwater Studios, which my man Derek Zico runs out there. He's definitely the man to see if you're in Indianapolis and you're a hip hop artist and you're recording. Derek Zico is the man. And we linked up there, recorded there, and I mean, he was just like anybody else in the studio. That's why, like, it was dope as fuck for real, because you expect someone to be like, you know, someone of that fame and that notoriety. They could kind of act however they want in a way. You know what I mean? They could be a dick if they want to. I mean, who are they compared to who we are in this game? You know what I'm saying? So for him to be real humble and chill and really just sit there and like go, you know, bar for bar was pretty fucking dope. And it definitely was a mutual respect thing, which was cool as fuck. What you got next, Sneaky Frog?
You guys have been opening up for a lot of big hip hop acts that came through Pittsburgh. How do you guys go about getting on these shows? Usually
just, it's either the promoter who's bringing them or the artist's tour manager. We just sometimes, most of the time, we'll hit them up. Sometimes they hit us up. It really depends on who it is and what they're looking for.
So you'll see a big guy or a big hip hop act is coming to the city, and you guys will get in contact with their tour manager and send them some sort of a press kit.
We'll see, like, say if a bigger artist was booking for, you know, tour, and they announce, you know, that they're rocking in Pittsburgh, yeah, then we're gonna discuss it amongst ourselves. Like, all right, well, do you think our sound would work on their show? And we'd be able to, you know, kind of capitalize on that and maybe make some new fans. Then yeah, we'll reach out to the touring manager and Or a lot of times too, like that's where, you know, our manager's role comes into play, because we could hit him up and be like, hey, like, who do you know? Like, say for instance, if I wanted to throw an artist out there, say Ritz, you know, like, who do you know over at Strange Music? You know, how can you hook this up? How can you make this happen? And if he has someone, he'll give us, you know, an email, phone number, and put us in contact. If not, then it's left up to us, and we just do our homework on who their manager is and get in touch with them. There's been times too when they've hit us up and been like, hey, like some tour managers are, you know, maybe for like an artist who's not that big yet but gaining steam, you know, if they'll have a tour manager who scopes out the city and tries to find like the group that's, you know, gonna bring the most people and or fits the sound the best to put on the best show, and they'll hit us up. So I mean, it could go either way.
Who are some artists you've opened up for?
We've opened up for Hobson. We've opened up for Jared Benton, Cool Keith, Ari the Rugged Man, Brother Ali in the past. A lot of underground hip hop heads.
What's it like doing these shows? Because the audience, it's different than doing your own concert, because the audience usually comes to the main act. So
yeah,
how do you guys go about you know, trying to win over these crowds? What's it like?
We're entertainers. I mean, that's the thing that I think that a lot of rappers fuck up with, is that they focus so much on, you know, their sound and their image and their you know, how it's presented. Like, you could sound way different than you really sound in real life on CD or in a video, and you could look way different on the video, because that shit's, you know, it's been edited, it's been touched up. When you're on that stage, this is life, this is live, this is right in front of these people. You gotta, you know, you gotta captivate them. You gotta capture their attention and hold it, whether it be for 10, 15, 30 minutes, however long you have as an opening act. So, you know, what we try to do is just get the crowd involved. I mean, I don't want to just stand on stage and rap to you, you know? Like, you're not gonna pay attention. You're gonna be talking to your boy or a female, or you're gonna be at the bar ordering a drink, because you're not gonna give a fuck what I have to say, you know? Why? And why would you? Because I've been that dude. Like, if you're standing on stage and you're just rapping and you're not really getting me involved, I'm gonna fucking ADD. I'm gonna fucking just I'm on to something else. Like, and I mean, so our biggest thing is crowd involvement, and we don't just open for anyone. That's another thing that I think it's weird to me, that people will just say, you know, like, if Chief Keef came to Pittsburgh, Bilderberg's probably not going to go out and try to open up for Chief Keef. Not saying anything bad about Chief Keef. I actually like some of his music, but we're not that genre of hip hop. We're not going to fit into that category. So the crowd's probably not going to, they're coming to hear that sound. They're not going to fuck with us as much as if it were, say, Crooked Eye or something, or somebody more like that. So, you know, we try to make sure that we stay within a similar artists, and really just try to put on the best show that we can put on. We make sure we choreograph our stage, make sure we rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. Practice makes perfect. You know, and that's just it, man. I mean, we try to map out every part of the show, what we say, what we do, and then there's always improv going on stage, where you just do some shit, or somebody's trying to heckle you or fuck with you, you know what I'm saying? You try to tie that into the show and, you know, make it part of the show. So,
whose crowd has been your favorite to perform for, out of the people you open up for?
So far, Hobson.
Why?
It was a sold out show, and it was at my personal favorite venue to perform at. As far as the setup is Altar Bar in Pittsburgh, and that's where it was, and we sold it out. I know, and when I said we sold it out, Hobson sold it out. Hobson was the main act, he was on tour, but we hustled hard for that show and grinded a lot and promoted the fuck out of it, and we had a lot of people who came there for us, and Hobson, and it was just dope because you had people who were there for us, but then you had kids from fucking 2 hours north who drove all the way down here to see Hobson, who were coming up to us after the show like, yo, like, we fuck with y'all. Y'all are from right down the road from us. Like where can we get your CD? Like, you got a shirt in my size? Like, you know what I mean? So, that was definitely the best. I feel like Hobson's crowd is an underground crowd, but they're younger people. And, a lot of times when you're doing underground shit, you get a lot of older heads because that's where kind of they went. You know what I mean? As far as like when mainstream got really commercialized, they kind of went with the underground. And Hobson and artists like him, they have that younger underground on their side. That's who their fan base is, and it's definitely my favorite fan base because they kind of have their own rules and do shit their own way. And you know what I'm saying, their shows are different. They mosh and shit at shows. Like the only other,
like an Odd Future.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. Like Odd Future, same kind of deal. The only other rapper I know of whose people moshed and shit at their shows was Tech Nine. Mm-hmm. But now these dudes, they got fucking kids in fucking Tulsa, Oklahoma, moshing at their shows and they're rapping. Like, so to see like they're like those kind of that fan base do that shit for us is dope, and it kind of shows us where our lane is.
Recently, you guys had your own concert for the Bilderburgh album release party. What was that experience like?
That was dope because that was the first time we ever, as Bilderburgh, we ever headlined a show. We got to sit there and hand pick who we wanted on the show. So everyone that was on that show were people that we fucked with and think are dope and local. Mm-hmm. And some of them, have bigger fan bases than us, like Real Deal. He's well known throughout the world for battle rapping. Some artists who were on the show may have had smaller fan bases, and it was dope to show our fans like, hey yo, like check these dudes out. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope, and just being able to kind of relax, because when you open up for larger artists, you kind of have that stress of, is their crowd gonna fuck with me? Like, even though you plan it and there are similar artists and so many tickets were sold, you still don't know. Because I mean, you could have sold yourself 100 tickets. Well, there could be fucking 500 people in this crowd. So it could be 4 to 1 people who don't really fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? So when it's your own crowd, it's your own hometown, it's at the Rex Theater, which is like home base for us. We've done so many shows there. The people at the Rex are great. Definitely the best venue as far as like the people, the staff and shit that work there, and the sound and everything. So being able to do that in your own environment is definitely made it dope and way different than any other show.
You dyed your hair blue for that show and wore it all blue. Why did you do that?
I don't know, man. I just fucking wanted to do something different. I never dyed my hair before ever in my life. I had a fucking idea. I was like, I'm gonna dye my hair blue. And then another thing that started it was there's this dude in Pittsburgh, Complex from Trio. He dyed his shit red, and we were joking, and I was like, I'm gonna dye my hair blue, we're gonna be arch enemies. And he was like, no, you're not gonna do that. And then I was sitting there thinking about it, and it was like a week before the album release party, or album release show, and I was like, why the fuck not? And I rocked a hat most of the night, so almost nobody knew that I had blue hair until I took my hat off on stage.
You guys are opening up for Tech Nine in a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
And that's at Stage AE.
Yeah.
Is that the biggest show you guys have done? Is that at the outdoor or the indoor stage? I think it's indoor. I don't know. But even indoor holds like 3,000 people. Are you guys preparing differently for this show? This is a bigger crowd than you've ever done before? Or?
Not differently as far as preparation goes. I think that we're just more trying to have all of our ducks in a row. Because we have the opportunity to make a few thousand people listen to us and become our fans. So we're trying to get shit together that we should have probably already had together, but you know, like our website and our merch store, and making sure that we have everything together as far as that goes, and our music. And just because I mean, we could get off that stage and there could be 2,000 people that love our shit, and you know what I mean, that could catapult us, that could change everything. We could get off stage and they could all hate us either way, you know what I'm saying? But as far as preparation goes, as rehearsal and all that, no, we're doing shit the same. We're doing shit the same that we have been. We're just trying to make it more entertaining, but it wouldn't matter. We do that shit anyway. Like, it wouldn't matter if the week after, 2 weeks after we do Tech 9, you know, say we open for someone else, we would try to say, okay, well, what did we do at Tech 9 that was dope? What did we do there that was bad? All right, let's cut that shit. Let's improve on that shit. Let's add some new stuff in, and you know what I mean, and build off that. I mean, so our live show, I think, is probably our strongest attribute. We always rock a crowd, and I think it's because we put so much emphasis on it, and we watch our show footage religiously, like game footage, you know what I mean? So, and breath control and who's got who, and that's all covered.
As an up-and-coming rapper, you got a lot of things to pay for, like studio time, photo shoots, videos, features, all that. Can you talk about what it's like being from a low-income area and having to support yourself while at the same time trying to fund a rap career?
Fucking sucks. It's tough, man. But I mean, when you're from a family that doesn't have money, or even doesn't, you know, really have any kind of connections, or maybe like in my case, I'm 24, but I'm one of the oldest people in my family. Especially, I'm the oldest brother and sister. I'm the oldest sibling. So I'm used to having to support myself in life in general. So to support myself and what I want to do as far as music, it's not tough, but I mean, there are times when, I mean, you want to go to the bar with your friends, you know what I'm saying? You want to go to a party with your, you know, whoever, your girlfriend or your chick you're fucking with, whatever, but you can't because you got to go make money. And really and truly, you're making that money. You already have all your bills are paid. You got some extra cash. You could go do it, but you know you need this money because you know you need to get into the studio. You know you need to pay for that beat. You know you want to get that video done. So it's sacrifice, man. But the universe rewards grind, and I'm a thorough believer that hard work pays off. So, I mean, I think that anybody from any economic background is going to have to work hard for what they want. If you're from a lower one, you just have to work a little harder.
What does real hip hop mean to you?
Real hip hop's whatever's truest to the person who's making it. I'm not one of those hardcore backpack motherfuckers where real hip hop's, you know, the lyrics gotta be grimy and like bars and nah, man, look. I listen to all kinds of shit. I listen to all kinds of rappers. You know what I mean? I can go from Raekwon to Riff Raff real fast. Like, and it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, so the shit that is real is, like I said, my biggest influence is my life. So what's real to me, what's real to my surroundings and real to my life may not be real to you, or it may really hit home with you. So real hip hop's whatever the creator is going through and putting into music, because music's art is expression of self.
What do you think it's going to take from you and Bilderburgh to make it to the next level?
More hard work, man. Just more hard work, and just getting smarter. You know, just making better moves as far as, I mean, not that we've made any bad moves, just trying to, you know, reach more people. And I think that if I had to sum it up into like one thing that needs to happen, that's going to happen, is go on tour. We need to get out of just one area and really get into, you know, not even far. Like, we're in Pittsburgh, you know, Cleveland, Buffalo, Philly. the local colleges, Penn State, fucking Ohio State, West Virginia University, all these schools with thousands of people there. We need to be there doing shows, and we will be. So I think that's our next move.
What would you say has been the highlight of your career this far?
Highlight of my career, being a part of Bilderburgh, man. Because like I said, I had a little phase like 18 and 19, not even a whole year, where I took rap real serious, and then shit happened in my life that I had to kind of take a step back. But Bilderberg's what brought me out of that slump. Because I was still kind of going through the shit that I was going through when Bilderburgh started. But I knew that it was going to work. And within a year, we had some steam. Now we're about 2 years into it, and we have a decent buzz. And, it's just, I know it's going to work. And it's that, like, being involved in that, and as much as we've done as far as like who we've worked with and the shows we've done and the fun we've had creating this fucking album, the last album we dropped, and even the mixtape that we're working on now, that's all a highlight reel for me.
Was there ever a moment that really made you feel like you guys could make it? Like what one moment you really felt like solidified you guys?
Yeah. The moment that I realized that I think that we had some possibility of going beyond was just whenever I started getting recognized by people who don't rap or who aren't involved in the scene. Like when you're doing, local shows and shit, a lot of times you run into the same people. You run into other people that make music and their friends and their family. But when you start, like if you're at a bar in some neighborhood and someone's like, yo, you're Traxx, you're like, because people call me Traxx outside of it, that's like just my nickname, you know what I mean? So I'm like, well, do I know you from school? Do I know you from, we worked together somewhere in the past or something? And they're like, nah, you rap, you're part of Bilderburgh. And it's like, well, how did you hear about that? Oh, my boy showed me because he said you did a song with Crooked Eye. And how'd your boy hear about it? I don't know, but fucking yeah, I seen your shit. That's kind of like, once that started happening a lot, like, because that shit happens in Pittsburgh. It's not going to happen to me anywhere else probably. But when it happens in Pittsburgh, that's what made me realize, like, this shit's pretty fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Raspy told me a story the other day, like fucking 4 high school kids like walked up to him in the mall and like cornered him and was really just like grilling him about like questions about like rap and what it's like to be a rapper and all this shit. And it's like, we're not famous, you know what I'm saying? We're regular fucking people. Like, we're not signed to some big label. But knowing that in some kid's mind out there, we're like that, you know what I'm saying, lets us know that, okay, well, we could be like that to a lot more people.
Yeah. What's a fun fact about you that people don't know?
I'm super into history.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm a fucking history nerd buff, man. I love military history. Besides military history, I love fucking just Irish history and the British Isles, Scottish history, back to Pictish and Celtic culture, and even over into Mesopotamia, into like Babylonian shit, Sumerian, Akkadian Empire. I know about all that shit for no fucking reason. I never planned on being a history major. I just love reading about that shit. To me, it's like a story of time and shit that's really happened. So, and people, like, every now and then in my rhymes, I'll put in some history related line and people will fuck with it. You know what I mean? People who are on that same tip. So yeah, I frequently read about history.
What is next for Traxx and Bilderburgh?
What's next for Bilderburgh, I'd say, is to touch on what I said before, more hard work and more opportunities and touring and conquering the fucking world any way that we can. But what's next for me as an artist is, you know, in a group you can only do so much as far as your creative process and in your creative space. So I did another duo project with Slick, which I said was dropping on June 8th, called Permanis and Potholes. But I think that I'm gonna probably get into working on some solo shit and creating just my own individual sound. I'm not gonna obviously I'm not gonna quit rocking with Bilderburgh. That's like a for life family thing. But I mean I just feel like I think everyone would probably say the same thing. They want to kind of move into their own.
You do a lot of trap type sound now, or no, you do more kind of party songs a lot on the side.
Yeah, that's the thing. Bilderburgh does a lot of hardcore. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna do more party songs. I love doing party songs because I like to party. You know what I mean? But I got, like, if you hear the Permanities and Potholes when it drops, there's a lot of smoother, jazz influenced, old soul type shit. But then, I don't know, I think for me, I think that I like the party shit because it's so hype, but I can still keep it lyrical. And I think that I have more fun with it. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, like, a lot of times when you're in a group with somebody, you know, you're all trying to outshine each other. You're trying to compete. Like, you're gonna compete. You're gonna be a competitive rapper if you're a real MC anyway. But when you're in a group with somebody, you don't ever want to have the weakest verse on the song. So you're gonna try to come the hardest you can come. When it's just you and you're just making a party song, it's like, okay, well, not that your content's gonna get weaker, but you can kind of experiment a little more and step outside of the box. And so I think that for me, like, the solo shit's definitely gonna be more geared towards just me kind of getting weirder. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much.
Word up. Yo, what's up? It's Traxx from Bilderburgh. About to kick a 16 from my man Ben Fredette. Benny Blanco, baby. Yo. Here I go in your stereo and venereal when I'm raw. Very dope when it's clearly coke when I barely open my jaw. My scenario will turn very broke. I'm stuck here to cope with you frauds. You don't hear me though. For that bread I swear you loaf with the law. Yeah, I know what you are, snake shedding skin. And I'm St. Patrick to your brethren. I drive you out this motherfucker. Call it a snake exodus while I zip lines over your head. The great never slip. I even caught the bodies on these dead presidents in my section with goons that I ate with no vacation. I could bring the beef to your door like room service while I put these days in. Amazing how I switch it up with flows like when I get the fuck the beat like it's a little slut that licks the nut then gives it up and I